Welcome to the NBA Finals, Cleveland Cavaliers fans. The Cavs punched their ticket 118-88, an emphatic win, capping off a sweep against the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Good evening, Chris Fedor, Chris Haynes, Joe Vardon here to recap this one. And Joe, obviously when LeBron James announced that he was coming back to Cleveland on July 11, 2014, this is what so many people had envisioned. There were a lot of roadblocks along the way. The Cavs were down against Chicago in the Eastern Conference semifinals. He hits the game-winning shot. But through it all of the noise, they're going to the NBA Finals. What he wanted to do with this team.
Right. I mean, we're talking about thousands of minutes, thousands of miles. You know, I don't even know how many games. We're almost at 100 games more, or probably there when you count the preseason. And there's so many twists and turns. But if you go back to July 11th, this is what you envisioned.
Mm-hmm.
And LeBron talked about patience, but the moment he announced he was coming back, all patience was out the window. And the reason is this town, this community, this region has been waiting for 50 years.
Yep.
That's enough patience. And, you know, I think LeBron understands that, and I think that the rest of the players in that locker room understand that. And now as they move into the finals, it's going to be talked about again and again, and I think it's something they're going to embrace as they go in, you know, trying to get that first championship in 5 decades.
And they're going to be able to lean on LeBron James, Chris, and no better guy to be able to lean on. If you flash forward to the NBA Finals, it's either going to be Golden State or Houston. As great as Steph Curry has been this year, the MVP, first-team All-NBA, he hasn't been in the position that LeBron's been in. He's not a 2-time champion. Look at Houston. Dwight Howard, yeah, he's been there to the finals. He hasn't won a championship. Trevor Ariza is the only one on that team besides Jason Terry that has that kind of hardware. So having LeBron going into the finals, it seems to give these guys a sense of confidence that maybe they didn't have at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, he's able to prepare them in ways that the Golden State Warriors simply just cannot. I'm trying to think. There's nobody on Golden State's roster who has won a championship.
No.
And so
only the coach on the sidelines.
Well, yeah, that's not going to help because you need that leader on the floor.
Yeah, he doesn't play. He's not banging
play.
threes over there on the right wing.
Yeah, so LeBron James right now, man, he is focused.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like after his post-game speech. That's what it was. He gave a post-game speech, and it inspired so many in that podium room. It was mostly media, but there were some.
There were a number of fans.
There was a number of fans. It was an applaud after he spoke. So you don't think it was any media fan?
No.
Was that you clapping?
It was not me clapping. No, don't point the finger at me. I've done some bizarre things here during this season, but that's not one of them.
I could have swore you stood up during one of the games this season and started clapping after a J.R. Smith 3 or something.
That wasn't me.
Okay.
That was another Chris. Not this one either.
And here we go.
So anyways, I digress. LeBron James not only has this team focus, he has the city.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody right now, he's making sure. If you looked at the end of the game when all the confetti fell, LeBron didn't really celebrate. He went over there, shook hands. That's a message that we got 4 more wins together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the message he relayed to his team. And so it's a special time right now, but you know they still have work to do.
Started with a sweep against Boston, 6-game series against Chicago, a sweep against Atlanta here in the Eastern Conference Finals. And this one, folks, wasn't even close.
I said a blowout. I called a blowout.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Do you remember that, Joe?
Well, I did as well.
You called a blowout?
Yeah. You said 100-72. I said 99-73. Looks like we were both off.
You said the Hawks were going to fight hard in the first half. The celebration started early tonight here at the Q. I mean, the Cavs came here for a coronation, an Eastern Conference coronation, and it turned into an all-out party in downtown Cleveland, which is the way that the fans certainly wanted. They don't want the buzzer beaters like we had in Chicago between the Cavs and the Bulls.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Cavs are now 3-0 in closeout games, but they by far handled this one the best, and it goes beyond, you know, the 30 points there because at the end of the first half, there were a couple instances of some of the chippiness again. Damari Carroll and Tristan Thompson, and then Bazemore and Tristan Thompson, and there was a very hard lesson learned in the closeout game against Boston that you have to keep your head when you have control of the series. And the Cavs not only did that, but they, you know, it was funny, LeBron said that at halftime his message to the team was, we're going to get Joe Harris in the game. And I'll be darned, Joey Harris was on the floor closing it out in the conference finals. So, I mean, by all accounts, mission accomplished here.
And at the podium, this has been a running story so far of the postseason. Which guy is going to join LeBron James at the podium? Because you know LeBron's going to be there. One night it's Matthew Dellavedova, another night it's Tristan Thompson. Well, tonight, in the closeout game of the Eastern Conference Finals, on the way to the NBA Finals, it was Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith. Two guys that have been very, very important during this 6-game winning streak that the Cavs are now taking into the finals.
J.R. Smith, you know, he talked about, and Joe brought this up to me, you know, reminded me, he talked about when the confetti came down and his mom, you know, rushed the floor and said, you know, we started from the bottom, now we're here. And that's exactly what happened with J.R. Smith. He was a giveaway player in that trade.
Yeah.
You know, I know the Cavs won't admit that now, but he was a giveaway player in the trade. Iman Shumpert was the main target. The Knicks said, no, you got to include J.R. in that. Look what J.R. has done. He's been extraordinary for this season. I mean, for this team. And, man, and then the guy's just a funny guy. He gets on the podium and does a selfie.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, let's do this.
I now know your code, by the way, to get into your phone if I ever need to.
Let's do this.
You did that right in front of me.
All right. We'll
flip it around.
1, 2, 3. That's what J.R. Smith did right now. And so he did. That's just the team is well put together. So many pieces that. Okay, I'm eating a peanut. I shouldn't have did that.
Yeah, probably
not. But this team is well put together, and they got the personality, and they blend so well, and it makes for an interesting team to cover.
All right, Joe. One thing in this game, there was a lot of speculation about Kyrie Irving. Was he going to be able to play in this one? Obviously, he wanted to play because it was a chance to go to the NBA Finals. This is his first time ever in the playoffs. He's been through so much already in his young career, especially with the Cavs, with the lottery trips, the roster turnover, the bickering, the coaching changes. He obviously wanted to play. What did it mean to have Kyrie out there in Game 4? What's that going to mean going into the NBA Finals?
I think it means a lot because for as close as this team is, and Chris is exactly right, I don't want to say that there was a divide forming, but I believe and you know have done some talking about this that players were looking at each other and seeing how they were carrying through not feeling the best, and Kyrie Irving sat out. And you know, they're all together in this, and that's great, but they kind of needed to see from him that he was going to go out and put the team in front of before his body, and he did that tonight, and I think it was very important. It was very important for him. In the first quarter, he got knocked down on a pick, and we all know if that would have happened in any of the last 6 or 7 games, that would have been it for him. And instead, I didn't see anything on his face. He kept running up and down the floor. He played wonderfully and didn't really get lost on defense either. And he was just he had a different gear than what we've seen from him for the past couple nights, and I think that's vitally important going into the finals.
Chris, before we close, the other big story of the Cavs season, David Blatt. When the Cavs hired him, he wasn't supposed to have this kind of team. It was supposed to be a young team, a rebuilding team, a team that he could mold, a team that he could develop. LeBron decides to come home. They trade for Kevin Love. They make the trades in January. David Blatt got a lot of criticism throughout the regular season, sometimes warranted. Here he is in this series against the Coach of the Year, Mike Budenholzer, doing something that has never been done before, sweeping a Coach of the Year. Talk about the job that David Blatt did in this series.
What we need to understand is that, you know, and me myself, you know, you talk about criticism. I gave Blatt some criticism. Vardon gave him some over
I did too.
You did too. You did it in print and on the radio.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's probably a little worse than what we did. But I will say this: the good thing about Blatt was his versatility. He came into the job, like you said, it was a rebuilding situation, centered around Kyrie and other couple of guys, Tristan Thompson. But the good thing about when LeBron came over was that David Blatt is an accomplished coach. And so what he was able to do is channel back to, you know, his winning days, you know, having some high-profile players, you know, over there overseas, and translate that over to what he needs to do with this team. Now, if he would have hired, let's say, Steve Kerr, who has no coaching experience whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
if he was put in that situation and then LeBron James all of a sudden comes back, then it's like, okay, you know, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? But Steve Kerr's probably a bad example because he's doing pretty good over there at Golden State. But that's what I'm saying. Being that Blatt has some success and was an accomplished coach, he was able to kind of transition. I wouldn't say nicely, but it's as time went on, it has worked itself into place. And we're here where we are now. And a huge part of that is because of David Blatt. A lot of it is because David Griffin, the way he reconstructed this team, midway. Then LeBron James coming through, playing like MVP type LeBron James after that 2-week hiatus.
Yeah.
Then you got to give it credit to David Blatt for putting the guys in place to position to succeed.
Coach Bud of the Hawks said that LeBron is playing with a confidence that he's never seen from LeBron. Are you seeing the same thing, Joe? You've been watching this guy all season long.
Yeah, he's different, and he's even different than when he was jumping out of the gym when he first came back in January. He's more focused than I've seen him. I mean, back from the old days when I was here before, earlier in his career, you know, watching him on TV in Miami. I will probably pick the Cavs. I'm going to have to think about this, but I will probably pick the Cavs, and it's because I can't bet against LeBron right now.
Yep.
I can't bet against this LeBron.
So we will make our picks. That's for another day. But for now, just enjoy the fact that the Cavs going back to the NBA Finals. Second time in franchise history, first time since 2007. LeBron said something along the lines during his speech about never being in the arena before. Kyrie Irving, Tristan Thompson, Matthew Dellavedova, some of these other guys about to go into that arena for the first time. It's either going to be Golden State or the Houston Rockets. We'll find that out on Wednesday when they play Game 5. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe it's going to go 6. Maybe it's going to go 7. But the Cavs able to wait around. They've got more than a week before the finals start on June 4th. Continue to check out all of our coverage, cleveland.com/Cavs. And we will talk to you next time here from the Q. Cavs a winner tonight. On to the NBA Finals, 118-88. So long.